Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the latest episode of Beatdowns with the Boz. So this week I have a update of the green-white tokens deck. This is a deck that in seasons past of Standard I really liked. I had some great runs with this deck. It has certainly stood the test of time. It got pushed out of the format a little bit by Emrakul, but now that Emrakul is banned, and we've got some new cards to play with, this deck is back in action and in full force. So it's a two-color deck. We have one Westvale Abbey in the mana base, which we can naturally draw or we can find with Oath of Nissa. Oath of Nissa in this deck is definitely like Ponder. You can basically find any card in your deck. The other one mana card I have is a 1 of Blossoming Defense. This deck actually functions quite a bit at instant speed, especially in the post board when you're bringing in things like Stasis Snare and whatnot. And it can be really valuable to have a 1 mana trick like this. Also, Rishkar putting +1/+1 counters on things means that you just have random bodies that can tap for mana, and Sylvan Advocate having Vigilance makes a prime candidate for this. So the Blossoming Defense is a little skeptical, but I think it's going to prove to be pretty good. We also start the game by putting Power and Toughness onto the board with 4 Sylvan Advocates, 4 Walking Ballistas, which are one of our primary ways to interact with things like the Saheeli combo. And then we've also got 2 Lambholt Pacifists and 1 Heart of Kiran. Heart of Kiran's a really powerful card, and it can do some really powerful things in this deck because our deck has so many Planeswalkers that can activate Heart of Kiran. But there's some things that can certainly go wrong with Heart of Kiran. So I have 1 copy in the deck right now, but that is probably not the correct number. I feel like somewhere between 0 and 3 is the right number. I'm starting with 1. 4 Nissa Voice of Zendikar is one of the ways that you can run away with the game, as well as just dump a lot of power and toughness onto the board. Rishkar, Peema Renegade, one of the new cards, real standout card, contributes a lot of power and toughness onto the board, also helps you ramp up your mana, and in particular, it's really good with Walking Ballista and Quarantine Field, because it just, there's such good mana sinks. We have 2 Thalia Heretic Cathar, just a decent body, not my favorite card in the deck, but it gives us a way to interact with the Saheeli combo that we can find with Oath of Nissa, which is pretty important. We've got 4 Gideon Ally of Zendikar, one of the all-time great cards of Standard. 2 Quarantine Fields is basically our only removal. We'll be able to shoot down some stuff with Walking Ballista. We have Archangel, Avacyn that can flip, and Ajani can kill stuff. But Quarantine Field is really our primary interactive card. And it ends up being a very good mana sink also, which will be useful when we have something like Rishkar, Peema Renegade online. 3 Archangel Avacyns to kind of top out the curve. It's a really great trick, can deal with a lot of small creatures. Also a really great way to attack control decks. And then finally 1 Ajani Unyielding to give us a little bit more interaction, as well as card advantage. In the sideboard, we just have some cheap interaction for matchups where it's specifically appropriate. Takedown's going to be really good against any kind of spell queller deck. Stasis Snare is just kind of a your one catch-all, and then Natural State. In the matchups where it's good, it's going to be phenomenal. We also have 2 Fumigates and a Descend Upon the Sinful. I've really liked sweepers in this deck. In the past, I played Tragic Arrogance. Fumigate is not quite as good, but we have so many Planeswalkers, and having a sweeper is just so good to go along with them. And I've Descend Upon the Sinful just so that I can have a little bit of diversity. The exile effect may prove to be useful depending on what my opponents have. It's unlikely that I'm actually going to get the Delirium out of it, because it's pretty hard for me to get anything other than creature and Planeswalker in the graveyard. I might get Artifact, I might get Enchantment, but I have very few instant sorceries. And then if we're against a control deck, I've got a Nissa Vital Force, an Ajani Unyielding if I need another big haymaker for mid-range mirrors, and Linvala as just another haymaker against decks that are attacking our life total. So super sweet deck, looking forward to get into it. And now we will.